But guys, let's hop into this fun draft, this idea that we came up with, kind of a Thanksgiving Thanksgiving themed draft, but also I think it correlates well with the 2024 class, Ncafa class of Hall of Fame, which will be coming out shortly. Always love seeing the names mentioned in that, Jess and Russ. So it kind of plays into that. But what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna explain it once again. You're going to draft a main, which is an offensive player throughout Ncafa history, a side, which is a defensive player throughout Ncafa history, and then dealer's choice. You can pick whoever player you want. But this is going to be fun exercise. I can't wait to do this. Russell, we're going to kick it. We'll do a snake draft, okay? So whoever goes first will go last the next round, okay? Russell, you're going to kick us off with pick one. So who do you got?
My first pick as my main is going to be Pat Woodcock.
Woodcock, baby. Okay.
Alouettes legend. He scored a 99-yard touchdown in the 2002 Grey Cup game, which was the record at the time. It got broken, but it was the record at the time. It's pretty crazy. And he also won top Canadian of the game in that match. So obviously a legend here, and obviously playing in the CFL, keeping his Canadian roots there. And I mean, also, he played for Montreal. I'm from Quebec. I had to go with Pat Woodcock as my main.
Absolutely.
I remember that game well, watching it on CBC. It was awesome. Also, an Ottawa local legend, 40 under 40 here. He's owned a performance company where he trains top executives and he trains athletes. All around great guy.
I believe a Canada Knight, right, Jess? I think he
He
played for
was
the
a
Canada
Canada
Knights in
Knight.
the CAFA.
Yeah.
Great player, and you're right. I remember growing up and watching those Performance Academy ads would come up on the TYSN thing, so I always loved seeing that. I think he was the one who said, like, "Are you the one that makes the cut?" Or so he did something for the TYSN thing. But yeah, Russell, loved that pick. Great player, obviously. Held the record for longest touchdown in the Grey Cup, I think, until it was broken in the 105th Grey Cup. So gotta love that pick. Jess, we'll go to you with your first pick.
Okay, so for the main, I'm going to go to Jesse Palmer. He played
Okay.
in Ncafa probably, I don't know exactly years, but like 2004 to 2007. He's a Myers Rider legend, playing at that kind of midget level at the time. Played his games at the very sportsplex that we know so well, and then he got a scholarship to go down to play Florida Gators, and he actually switched time there for the I think 4 years that he played at Florida with Rex Grossman, and then was drafted by the Giants and backed up in New York for many seasons. Got to play. I think he had a little bit of a stint towards the end of his career with the Alouettes, but we know him being the college football analyst for ESPN and ABC. So he's done really well. He was a bachelor. He was one of the first Canadian bachelors when that show was new. So interesting to know that player and that story came from this very league.
Yeah, no, I was just about to say I love watching Jesse Palmer break stuff down for us on college game days and stuff like that. And a great quarterback at Florida, and especially for some just like amazing Myers Riders teams, right? That's kind of like the kickoff of their dynasty, probably in that era, which we've seen kind of go over the next 15 years. How can you not take the signal caller, Jesse Palmer? I love that. Okay, so we'll go to me. I got back-to-back picks here. Both my top picks are still available, gentlemen, so you absolutely messed up. That's totally fine. For my main, I'm taking actually a player who moved to the defensive side of the ball in college football in the NFL, but whenever I was playing with him, he was a star running back for the North Gloucester Giants. I'm going to scoop up Jonathan Sutherland here. My story with Jonathan Sutherland, my list is going to be mostly players that I played with in the early 2010s, late 2010s, you know what I mean? My story with Jonathan Sutherland was we played together. Jesse, I have a picture of it. We'll put it on the podcast here, though. But we played together in what we know as the old Ncafa All-Star games. Whenever East would play West, Russell, we always talk about the divisions, how the Mustangs, Cumberland, so that all those players would play the West players in the Ncafa All-Star game. So me and Sutherland were on the same team. We're both in the East Division. The Giants were in the East Division as well. I remember I was playing defensive line at the time. Sutherland was a running back. I remember him running through the hole in a practice, and I tried to arm tackle him, and my arm went dead for about an hour. Just trying to arm tackle this guy once was crazy. Obviously, he went on to be a captain at Penn State. He was a safety at Penn State, so he moved to the defensive side of the ball. But he was electric out of the backfield for the Giants. I think the last thing I seen about him, he was waived by the New York Giants. Kind of funny how he went from the North Gloucester Giants to the New York Giants. We'll see if he ends up making his way to the CFL, but for when I played, that's the best offensive player I ever seen. Jesse, do you have any notes on him? I know you filmed some of his games.
Yeah, I remember this A Cup championship at Pee Wee, I think it was, where they played Bell Warriors at the old Millennium grass field. That was an instant classic. I think it's up on the YouTube channel. But he looks like Derrick Henry back in the day. Like
Yeah,
he
oh
runs
yeah.
like him. He wore 22. He looked like Derrick Henry running that ball. He was always a multi defensive and offensive player. Like I think he was a safety actually even back then. But how
Yeah.
could you not give him the ball every single play because he's going to score, 9 out of 10 times. But he was a force and definitely great choice.
Yeah, and his character off the field was amazing too. Being, I think he was like a 3 year captain at Penn State as only like a special teamer. So that kind of just goes to show you how good his character was off the field. Very quiet guy, but like you knew what you were getting out of him.
And he was given the 0 as his number, which
that's what it was.
has significance at Penn State. Yeah.
That's right, yeah. So you just an all-around great football player, great human, one of the best Ncafa players of all time. Hope to see him in the Hall of Fame soon. Okay, so round 2, I got the first pick in round 2 since I went last, even though I got my top player. You guys are suckers. Defensively, a little bit of maybe not as many people will know this name, but I know Jesse will. On the defensive side of the ball, I used to play this guy. He played for the Raiders back when I played. I think he went on to play for Mac for a little bit, but then he transferred to the GGs. I'm taking Nicarlo Funai, who played defensive line and linebacker for the Raiders. Guys, I remember one game in Pee Wee. It was, I think, my third game in Ncafa ever. This was my first Ncafa year, my third game ever. He must have knocked out 3 of our players in the first quarter. Just with not dirty hits, just this kid was a monster. He had a full-grown beard at 12. Okay, this kid was a monster running around the field. He played linebacker and defensive end for the Raiders. I think he played for the Panthers in the OVFL, but I'm not sure if he ever went to the professional ranks. But I know he went from MAC to the GGs. He was a force on some Raiders defensive lines.
Yeah, I remember him well. He was a great Ncafa player. That's a good choice, and that's a good one. That's like not the obvious choice. But he did go to Mac. I think we did a highlight for him back in the day that helped him
Okay.
to Mac. Not sure why. I think school. He was also a really really smart guy. Academics were really important, so I think he chose engineering or business and really got into that.
Good for him.
But that's a great choice.
Oh, he was a monster. Don't get it twisted. On that football field, he turned into a different animal. I don't care how smart he was. All right, Jesse, you're up next with your side, so defensive player.
Yeah, defensive player. I'm gonna go with it. I mean, this was a tough one. Who to use for defense and who to use for my wild card side. But I'm gonna go with Jesse Luketa. I mean, it's an obvious choice. He went into the Hall of Fame last year for Ncafa. But just I think all in all, like the type of player he was as a kid, I didn't. I wouldn't have counted him out because I know how driven he was to go to the NFL. But in terms of a player, when he was in Mosquito, he looked like everyone else, and even in the OVFL, like he was good, but I didn't think that he was like NFL, like it wasn't obvious. So it's all that hard work that he put in, and just like that tenaciousness of off the field, like contacting the right people, navigating socially how to get in the right spots and provide those opportunities for himself. He has been a master at that. He should host a master class at how to get what you want and goal setting. But I'm going to go with Jesse Luketa. He just had a strip in the game against San Fran. I think Kittle.
Yes.
He ripped the ball out of Kittle's hands on the weekend. So
It was Mason. Jordan Mason.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, Jesse Luketa, let's go.
Watched that clip last night. Yeah, Jess, I think you have the most highlight tapes that Jesse Luketa has out there, even from the NFL and college ranks, of him just playing Mustangs and Cumberland Panthers football. Jesse Luketa, like you said, I think you were telling me one time, Jess, that you have a video of him. He broke his arm, or somebody broke their arm, and you were driving them to the hospital or something after a Ncafa All-Star game. Is that
Yeah,
like do I have
yeah,
that
no, it's
story
me.
right?
We drove him and Baxter, another Mustangs player back in the day, to the OVFL All Star game in
Oh,
Hamilton, and unfortunately he like broke his ankle in that game, and I was his guardian, I guess. So I drove him to the hospital. We stayed. We got the doctor. I think there is a clip out there somewhere in a hard drive, so we'll grab that for his documentary one day.
yeah, no, great pick. Obviously, a standout for some South Auto Mustangs teams. I don't know if you mentioned this, but Ncafa Hall of Famer as well. You
And
could
I
say
need
that a
some
little bit.
swag. If Jesse, if you're watching this, when you get a new order of your whatever shirt, whatever design you're doing, you owe me a shirt. So let's get that up to Ottawa soon, buddy.
All right, Russell. I have a feeling Jesse just stole your defensive pick,
I
but we're gonna go to you for your side.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Luigi Villon. Actually grew up with Jesse Lucchetta. I was gonna pick the two players back to back, do a little story, but get the last pick. That's all right. I got more players to talk about. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Luigi Villon. Obviously, him and Lucchetta grew up together, played together. I believe they did a camp over the summer. I don't know if it was this summer or 2 summers ago, over at TD Place. For a bunch of kids there. It was pretty cool. I watched a little interview on that, so that was pretty cool. And obviously, Luigi Villon now, I think believe he's on the practice squad for the Panthers. He was playing for the Vikings, actually, it was.
Yep.
But yeah, great player, Ottawa All-Star, and also both him and Lucchetta both play linebacker, so it was kind of cool. They talked about how they played with each other, against each other, played the same position, so I think that's kind of cool that Jesse, you picked Lucchetta, and I'm picking Villon now, back to back. Yeah, it's
I
just
think he was a Giant, right? We said.
He was a giant. He played with Jonathan Sutherland.
Yes, and he
Actually,
was
that's
in
who he
that
grew
A
up.
Cup Pee Wee game against the
That's
Warriors.
right. That's right. Luigi Villain. I just searched it up. I believe he's on the practice squad of the Dallas Cowboys right now. So how about that?
Even better.
America's
Wow.
team. That's what I see on Wikipedia. Who trusts Wikipedia? But also another Ncafa Hall of Famer, Russell. I mean, how can you go wrong picking a Ncafa Hall of Famer? Love the pick. Can you kick us off for the dealer's choice dessert selection?
yes, I will. So my pick would have to be, I hope I'm pronouncing the name right, Curly Gittens Jr.
Curly Gittens Jr. Baby. Yep.
Yeah, playing with the Edmonton Elks and previously played with the Toronto Argonauts.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I ever told you guys this. I'm actually a Leafs fan, so considering he plays for Toronto, thought that was cool. I'd pick him.
Russell, I'm a Leafs fan too. I pray
Oh,
for you,
there
buddy.
we go.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
got that Leafs fan connection here. But yeah, no, arguably he had his best season in Toronto in his second or third season. Over 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. Now playing for the Elks. Great all-around player. So I thought I'd go with Curly Gittens Jr.
I feel like they won the Grey Cup that year
They
too,
they won the
Jess.
Grey Cup,
think
and I
they-
think
yeah.
he got the most outstanding Canadian too. Yeah.
Most outstanding
Yeah,
Canadian.
there you
Curly
go.
Gittens Jr. If you guys, Jess, I can let you chime in if you want, but some great highlight tapes of Curly Gittens Jr. on TYSN's YouTube channel. And also, I remember the game. Jess is gonna laugh at this, but the game. It was the game of the week or something. It was the Mustangs against the Panthers. Jesse rolled up in a convertible at the start of the video. That's a game where Curly Gittens Jr. and the Mustangs played. Go watch that game if you haven't. That's a crazy game from history.
Is the Mustang clip up on there too?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Oh, yeah?
oh yeah.
Okay,
You
I
see
gotta
Jesse,
watch
you,
this now.
you see Jesse roll up in the convertible. He walks. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
Okay, I gotta-
doing some filmmaking those days, I think.
oh yeah. That was sweet.
No, Curly's is one of my favorite all-time players. It was almost too obvious for me to pick him, so I try to go through the directory and think about some other players. But a great choice, a great human being, amazing, advocate for football and for we talk about doing the right things. He's a a quality individual. It doesn't get much better than Curly.
Yeah, great pick, Russell. I love the draft, man. That's a pretty good draft. We'll see we're gonna throw this to the comments in the audience after this and see who won. But that's a great pick, Jesse. Your final pick for your dessert. Your dessert.
Okay, well, I'm going to take the opportunity to kind of mention too, because I couldn't pick this individual.
Oh, okay.
Because I went online, there's nothing about it, there's no footage of him, which is crazy. But Joseph Maru, running back for the OVFL Myers Riders, he played Giants growing up in Ncafa. Maybe the best, well, I shouldn't say that. Second best running back I've ever played on a team with, next to Jesse Lumsden.
Yeah.
Joseph Maru. He stood probably like 5'8", 205 pounds back when he was just graduating high school. The guy was Barry Sanders in the OVFL. He had the same running style. He pulled off some incredible plays that there's probably VHS tapes stacked to the ceiling about Joseph Maru. But I wanted to grab some footage of somebody for this. So my pick actually is going to
Okay.
be Lake Corte Moore.
Ah, okay. Love it.
So
Yep.
Lake Corte Moore grew up as a Mustang, played OVFL in the with the Cumberland Panthers. He's currently with the Saskatchewan Roughriders right now, defensive line linebacker.
So I got a story on Lake Corte Moore. I believe he was a Bengal, just not a Mustang, or maybe
He
he was
he,
both.
he was both, yeah.
He was both. Okay. Well, because I played with him, another guy that I played with, Lake Corte Moore, a defensive lineman for Saskatchewan right now, Jesse. He played quarterback and defensive line for the Bengals, playing us
Yeah.
and Wildcats. You can actually go watch that game of host Devin playing Lake Corte Moore and the Bengals blowing us out because he was playing quarterback and playing defensive end. He was a monster. I was like, I was lining up at center, and I'm looking at the defensive end. I'm like, isn't that their quarterback? And then when he started playing defensive line, I'm like, oh no, he's a defensive lineman who plays quarterback. He's not a quarterback who plays
Well,
defensive line.
does
If
it
that makes sense.
surprise you that he's also like professional level skier?
No, it
No,
doesn't.
it doesn't
No,
surprise
no,
you.
no. That's a great pick, Jesse. I love that pick. A pretty good quarterback too in his Bengals days, so I like that. All right, so I'm gonna cap this off, and then maybe we could do some honorable mentions, and then I want the comments to let us know who won this draft. Who was your favorite selections here? I gotta go with my dessert. I'm gonna really make it about someone who you just watched, and it was a delight. It was a treat to watch them play. I'm gonna go with Lovely Tishabanda, running back for the Giants. Jesse, you have a highlight tape of him on TYSN's YouTube channel. This guy, you want to talk about Barry Sanders, okay? This guy is Barry Sanders and Lamar Jackson rolled into one player. Lovely Tishabanda, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He was electric with the ball in his hands. There were some plays where he would get a handoff. He would run a total, I'm talking he's going east and west. He would run a total of 80 yards east and west and then 70 yards north and south, and he'd score a touchdown for those Giants teams. So I got two Giants on my roster, but I'm happy with Lovely Tishabanda. Jesse, do you have anything on Lovely?
That's a good one. That's a good one. No, some great games online. I remember watching him. I think he's still playing. I think I saw a post recently where Lovely's down in the States
I think he
somewhere.
plays for JUCO. He's a
Okay.
JUCO college player. I
Okay.
maybe I'm wrong on that, but yeah.
And we should ask Coach Vic. Coach Vic, if you're watching this, if you see this, let us know where Lovely is. But yeah, great Giants player. Obviously put in the work with Coach Vic to get where he is and hopefully continue that football journey. But great pick. Nice dessert.
Well, guys, I will say this: great picks all around. Let's go through it and tell everyone our final roster here. So for me, I have Jonathan Sutherland, I have Nicarlo Funai, and Lovely Tishabanda. Jesse, you have.
Jesse Palmer, Jesse Luqueta, the two Jessies. And then I did try to take Joseph Maru, and I'm going to put him in there as kind of an asterisk, but then Lake Corte Moore.
Yeah. Audience, how about this? Jesse just decides to make up his own rules and take 4 players instead of 3. Anyways, that's fine. Russell, who are your 3 selections?
I got Pat Woodcock, Luigi Villon, and I have Curly. I really hope I'm saying this.
Curly
Gittens Jr.
like curly
Thank
fries.
you.
Yeah,
Curly fries. Okay, perfect.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Guys, love the selections. I like my draft. I like all of your drafts. If there's ever some honorable mentions out there, I just want to throw out a couple names. James Keenan, quarterback for the Bell Warriors. He was electric on some of the teams that I was playing against. Kind of an undersized quarterback for Bell, but cerebral and actually really quick. Jacob Laux, who is a Cornwall quarterback, one of the first quarterbacks to kind of grace the A Cup for the Wildcats back in like the late 2000s, a little bit mid 2000s. He was electric. I think he went on to play for Mount Allison. He was actually a coach of mine on a couple of rosters. Probably the best quarterback that the Wildcats have ever had. I had to throw some Wildcat love in there. Russell knows that. Surprised he didn't pick any Myers guys. But anyways. And then Dan Porter, I wanted to give a shout out to, linebacker for the old Nepean Redskins, now the Nepean Eagles. They were always a deal, a load to deal with.
Redskins.
Barhaven Reds, that's right. He was always a load to deal with. Gentlemen, is there anybody that you wanted to shout out quick before
Let's
we?
go. Dylan St. Pierre, Raiders
Yeah,
receiver, played for the GGs. Great receiver, tough as nails. Great family. Shout out to his dad.
Russ.
Mead had to be Neville Gallimore.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Well, did Neville Gallimore not get picked?
He didn't get picked.
Oh my God, we're crazy.
yeah.
People are gonna lose their minds
He's
on
an
us.
honorable mention. He was playing for the Cowboys. Then he was on the Dolphins. Got cut from the squad, and then he signed like a day later with the Rams. So
He's on the Rams now. I was watching
he's
him
on the
over the
Rams now.
weekend.
Yep.
Yeah. No. I
Big
can't
guy.
believe.
Big
Big
man.
guy. He went to Oklahoma to play his college ball, and I want to say I was randomly just watching an Oklahoma game because I played against Neville when he was on the Mustangs. And I think he had like 4 sacks or something in like the first half, and I was watching, and I was like,
Yeah.
how are we supposed to block him for the Wildcats when like Auburn can't block him in the NCAA? Yeah, Russell, that's a great honorable mention. I don't know how none of us picked Neville Gallimore, but there you go, folks. That's it for the Thanksgiving-themed Ncafa football draft. That was a blast. Let us know if you like stuff like this and if you want us to do some more fun initiatives like this. We're always down to, go with what the audience wants. So I had a blast doing that. And let us know who you think won that draft in the comments. We'd love to know.